Okay, for Christians, here's your silver lining. Whether you know it or not, Satan is against Satan. His kingdom is divided. It's not standing. Now, the tools, the materials, they might be prevalent in this world, but it's not completely steeped in chaos to the point where there's all out chaos and physical violence between every single neighbor on every square inch of this planet. That's not taking place. There are structures and materials set up by the devil, by Satan's kingdom, but his kingdom is divided, so it's not standing. His kingdom's not standing. For instance, you have groups like the Order of Nine Angles. They're at rivalry with groups like the Temple of Set and the Church of Satan, etc. See, they have like similar views in terms of their philosophies and their theologies and their cosmologies, but where they differ is something that's pretty much off the books for everyone, unless they've been accused of certain crimes that go into the rituals. This is where the division between Satan is. This is where the division in his kingdom is over whatever they're doing in secret. So Satan striking down Satan is not necessarily the war of a Christian. It's the war of a Christian to know that Satan is defeated already. Why? Because his kingdom is divided. But at the same time, if you're just a traditional Christian that goes to church, you can't point the finger either. Because I bet you there's more church denominations than there are satanic temples. And I don't even think that's up for debate. So we want to talk about division. So we can't even, as human beings, we can't even elevate ourselves or think that we're better than somebody who calls on an opposite entity than who we were trained to believe. And vice versa too, on the flip side of the coin. The name Jesus is a bad word in this age. Now you see somebody walking around with that, is all kinds of stigma of judgmentalism, hypocrisy, not even really on the name Jesus himself and who the character represents, but who the people that represent the character represents. You got a reality TV show that even managed to get behind the four walls of a lot of congregations. And so the stigma of pretense and facade is even on the church. So there's division everywhere because we're in a time of division. This is why all of the New Agers and everybody that's on the cutting edge of philosophical thought are preaching unified thought. They're talking about the unified field. They're talking about unity consciousness, what they're also calling Christ consciousness, but they're talking about unity. That's what they're trying to push people toward. And you have in that the conquering of duality on a metaphysical level to unify the dual nature of who we are, to acknowledge it, but to unify it, to synchronize it, to synthesize it, to blend it, to make it a compound thing. So Satan's kingdom is divided. It's divided against itself. So be encouraged, everybody out there, because really, even on a galactic level, this is really just Aries versus Saturn, really. You got the Saturnians that represent one portion of the left-hand path, and then you have the Arians, Aries, Martian, that represents another half or another portion of the satanic left-hand path. If you're a Christian, don't look at this as forbidden information. Doesn't your own master say, be wise as serpents? Well, you can't be wise as a serpent if you don't learn any of the serpent's ways. How are you going to master something you don't know? How are you going to master something you didn't learn? So go ahead and get the knowledge. Everything makes sense. You just have to make sense of it and see where it fits in your own life. But just be encouraged, because although it might be chaos in many places, and it might seem like there's chaos, that chaos could be anywhere, at the same time, chaos is not everywhere, which means you have room to flourish. So again, thank you for your time and your attention. This is Super T Sigma with Sigma Programming. I thank you so much for tuning in. You guys stay encouraged. I'll catch up with you shortly. Peace.